Live from Sadler Studios for Stay Busy Women's History Month Part 2. It is Stay Busy with the boy, Armand Sadler. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Stay Busy with Armand Sadler, where we have responsible discussions on the music business and the music culture. Thank you to everyone who tuned into our episode last week with Swaggy C. We had an incredible time, but we're back again with another superstar. It's the boy Armand, vegan chorizo poppy, multiple miles Monday poppy, writer poppy. I'm back. The pen is back active. It's getting hot. It's getting hot outside, and it's getting hot in these Google Docs and this Medium page. You feel me? Y'all can follow me on social media at Armand Sadler on both Twitter and Instagram. I'm not here alone. How you feeling, co-host, exec producer, all those things?
What's up, y'all? The man of many hats I guess I wear. My name is Nick Early, y'all, co-hosting, executive producing. We're doing all kinds of stuff, man. I'm excited. I got to stay my tagline. You know, my tagline is the kombucha king. It makes your heart sing. You know how that goes. I've just been having a good time. Great day. Started off the day with a great meeting with the man Ahmad Davis. Shout out to Ahmad. We're just having a great day, and I'm excited. Olivia has some great stuff coming up, but I'm gonna let our amazing host intro our guest here.
Yes, so you all have heard from this person before. She popped in a couple months ago for our Employee of the Month segment, shared some incredible insight with us, but we got to give y'all a proper introduction. So if you're wondering why Trippie Red's social platforms are so incredible, look no further than our guest from the West Coast, now kind of residing in Brooklyn, you know, half and half, back and forth, because she be busy. You know, she got to deal with the clients out on the West, and she got to deal with the clients out on the East. Lord knows she might end up in Texas too. You never really know. But along with that, she's hosting panels for women in music through her own venture, Amethyst Collab, boss talks for the women. Everything is women-based with this guest, which is incredible because there are some incredible women voices in the industry that we need to hear from. They are doing the damn thing. So if you want to enjoy someone who spreads the facts on social media and Clubhouse as to how artists and their teams can optimize their platforms and just move the right way in this industry, none other than our incredible guest, Olivia Shalhoup. How are you, Olivia?
Hey guys, glad to be back here on my favorite music business podcast. What's up, guys?
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you. It's good to have you back. We told you we was gonna get you back, and we do not lie. So it's good to have you here for a full episode. We're gonna get into some real fun stuff, some insightful stuff, and hopefully give you artists some gems on how you can make your social media as popping as your music is. In the meantime, we want to give some shout outs to our listeners. Shout out to everyone tapping back in, first time, returning, new listeners, last time listeners, crazy. Also shout out to our YouTube subscribers, the people who listen on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you leave us a review, 5-star review, as it'll help us grow. But whether you like Twitter or IG, Chopped and Screwed or Hyphy, TikTok or Vine, and tequila or wine. Now, you know we got to talk about these comparisons, so how y'all feel about those?
I feel like you should have done Chopped and Screwed or Jersey, like a Jersey remix. You know what I'm saying? Like,
good point.
But hyphy, shout out to the West Coast. We do the hyphy. Is for me, I don't know. As of late, it's been Twitter. IG has kind of fallen off for me. I'm just like kind of whatever on IG. So it's been Twitter, like so far as my actual entertainment. Then I would say it's probably hyphy, and then. I had my relationship with Vine back in the day. So
we know.
Funny story. So Olivia, I had a Vine that went viral randomly. Like,
oh yeah. Is it one I would know? Which one was it?
So I don't know. We'll play a clip for you at some point. Probably after we're finished here. But it was a Vine that I did, and it was like this was when I'm Different was hot. So like I randomly, I don't know why, grabbed the mustard bottle out of my fridge. and went to the piano and played the dun, 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 back in like 2013 or 24. Yeah, like 2013. And I played it and I was like, mustard on the beat, and everyone went, and it went viral. And so that's like
so
my Vine.
That's like classic Vine humor.
Right. That's my Vine claim to fame. So I'm going to go with Vine because I'm still figuring TikTok out. But it's funny, I was on TikTok a lot, but when it was still Musically, and I folded on that. But anyways, and then of course tequila. I love tequila.
Okay,
how about you, Olivia?
Run these back one time. You were talking so fast.
My bad. So we got Twitter or Instagram.
Okay, let's do definitely. I like Instagram. I like tweeting better than I like posting, but I like watching Instagram because I'm more of like a visual person. I don't want to be doing all that reading all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a little much. But yeah, I like visuals. I like videos, pictures, stuff like that. So I tend to lean toward. And I feel like I'm the last person standing on Instagram though, because I know algorithmically it's getting annoying. Yeah. But I love it as like a fun social platform. But business-wise, I'd say Twitter for sure. Okay. What was the next question?
No, we got TikTok. Chopped and Screwed or hyphy.
Okay, Chopped and Screwed for sure. I love that. I love that Southern sound. I like Chopped and Screwed. I don't know. It's one of those things that's like you don't grow up with it, so you like it. You know what I'm saying? Because we grew up on that West Coast sound. And then the next
TikTok
one
or Vine.
Okay, Vine was cool because it was only 6 seconds and you couldn't make it longer. TikTok, they're doing too much with these 1 minute like stories, come back for part 2, like almost using it in like a YouTube vlogger style, which I don't like. I like those, like I like comedy, I like those funny Vines, like music style stuff is cool. So yeah, I would bring back Vine if I could, or at least shorter time limits.
Shorter form.
Yeah, like when we saw a lot of those comedians who were funny on Vine, when they had to do a minute-long video on IG, it was like, oh, you're actually not that funny. Like, you can't hold my attention for that long. Huh.
Yeah, you can't let them talk for too long. Like, who was that guy who used to do the annoying voices? How old are you guys the same age as me? I'm like, you remember like the Fred guy? He was so annoying. And he had a YouTube channel.
Is this the white dude that was kind of older?
Yes.
His name's Frank.
Yeah, and then it came out he was like mad old, like he was an adult.
Costa something, but he does like the Morgan Freeman impersonation, the George W. Bush, that guy.
No, definitely not doing anything serious. Like he would just talk in this like high pitched voice. Maybe I'm being crazy, but I'll send it to you guys later. But it was too much. It was like, oh my God, like please keep this guy to 6 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's bring that back for sure. TikTok, take some notes, please. 15 seconds top.
And lastly, tequila or wine?
Definitely wine. Tequila knocks me out. I'm a lightweight. So tequila is like if I'm going out. I like white wine. Okay, I drink like literally like a 16-year-old who has a fake ID. I drink like Moscato. Like I'm not. I don't have a very like cultured palate. I could stand to get into it more probably at some point. I'm not a big drinker. I'm definitely more into like, am I allowed to say smoking?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, am I allowed to talk about weed on here? I don't know.
States. Just got legal
I'm
in
in
Jersey.
California, guys. Write that down. But yeah, definitely more into like smoking weed than drinking. So if I drink, it's gonna be like a wine, or if I'm going out, I'll do like tequila shots. But I won't like sip tequila.
So you either go hard or it's just not. Or it's
you
more
chill.
No middle ground for me.
No
ground, I don't sip mixed drinks. Just too much.
Word. We want to give a special shout out to the After School Program podcast. We're bringing on our co-host, executive producer, singer, songwriter, Peloton employee. He finally let us know where he works. He finally let us know where he works.
Tell the world. I've been trying to keep certain things separate. Just for certain sakes, but with them I felt like I needed to at least speak on it, and it was a very honest conversation, great time. So shout out to my guys Zach and Connor, over at After School Program. So that was really fun conversation, and I felt it's an honor to like someone wants to talk to you and you're like about your life, because you live in your life, you're doing everything, and I guess you it's like I said, it's humbling and it's an honor when people are kind of noticing things and seeing what you're doing and want to talk to you about it. So regardless of the scale of any platform, it's just always an honor. So shout out to my guys.
Yeah, we really enjoyed that episode. Listeners, make sure y'all check that out. If you haven't, of course, we want to shout out our VP of everything, the man that you cannot see but you feel, Kieran Hurley, holding us down on the ones and twos, the backbone of the podcast, Zoom Maestro. We want to shout out Anchor, our distribution platform. If you do not know by now, Anchor will distribute your podcast for free to all streaming platforms, and you can get some sponsored ads regardless of your listenership. Of course, shout out to Zoom, allowing y'all to see our beautiful, melanated, hydrated faces. Everyone's skin is glistening. You feel me? Because it's only beautiful. We beautiful and busy on this side. Beautiful for Stay Busy Women's History Month. But very, very aggressive new music weekend. So let's jump into this chat. Actually, we got some news before we get to new music. So Square acquired the majority rights to Tidal, and Jay-Z has joined their board. Social media blew up about it. Hove tweeted for the first time since like 2018. So you know it was a big deal if Hove opened up his Twitter app. It's probably like on page 4 of his iPhone, but he was here. Olivia, how'd you feel when you saw that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm such a Jay-Z fan, you guys. I love him from like a business perspective, from a music perspective. But from a business perspective, back when I started Amethyst in 2018, I wrote this article on like why I thought Tidal was so cool and like had so much potential. So it was cool to kind of see that like validate my vision. Like Tidal's definitely turning into more than a streaming platform. And I'm excited to see what they do next, because I think that Jay-Z and Jack have some stuff up their sleeve for sure.
I'm so excited. I totally agree with you on that, because when I was reading about it, and I read Jack's tweet when he was talking about sort of the collaboration, how it came together and what the vision is going to be. You see that, I mean, from Tidal's inception, I'm sure you can speak to this as well, Olivia, is that Tidal was about the artists and giving, they pay out the most to the artists. They credited, there's a full credits list on there when you stream, so they were very much so about giving the creators their due, within the confines of being a DSP and whatnot, but still being artists front forward and doing the things to actually put it there in front. And thinking about what Square has done, with sort of leveling the playing field with the little Square thing, allowing businesses to do that and be able to take card in a mobile sense. Yeah. And then with Cash App, and then thinking about now what they're going to do in music. So I know it's going to be a great collab with finance, because that's really empowerment for a lot of these, independent artists or just artists in general, is having the financial backing. So, and we're gonna get into it in our half and half today, kind of how the industry is going, I guess, in a pandemic, people getting creative with finding other ways to make money with their art. So I'm very, very excited for that. I want to see what Tidal's gonna be doing.
Yeah, should be awesome. Yeah. We are artists first, and we want to see the creators benefit as much as they can through various revenue streams. So shout out to Tidal, and we can't wait to see what further details come from this. To jump into our new music, because we really haven't analyzed new music releases, but this weekend was worthy of a lot of discussion. So first and foremost, we got, and this wasn't just any normal release, Drake Scary Hours 2 EP. He brought back OVO Sound Radio, but it's on a new home on Sirius XM. He also introduced the Sound 42 radio station, which is a 24-hour radio station where you'll be able to hear music at all times. So at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, everyone was by their computers or on their phones listening to Heady One and Lil Durk and Pooh Shiesty and a bunch of other artists. And then midnight, the new tracks debuted. We got 3 tracks this time. What's Next? We got Want and Needs with Lil Baby, and we got the Lemon Pepper Freestyle with the boss, Rick Ross. I can say they very easily, Drake went 3 for 3 there. The What's Next also got a video, really cool video, riding around the whip with Chrome Hearts interior. We're wearing the Pel, hanging out with the OVO squad. It was real cool, man. I'm really happy, and it's crazy to see that at this stage. And it's not crazy, but like to think about how great he's been for so long, and that he's only getting better and better as an artist. It's amazing to see as a fan. It's truly amazing to see as a fan. How'd y'all feel about the whole release night experience? Because this was like a worldwide listening party. Like it wasn't just I'm dropping an EP. It was and like everyone is tuning in. Like pay attention to me.
Yeah. That's such a classic Drake moment, right? Like when Scorpion came out, I felt like the same way. I felt like we were all listening. Like no one wasn't listening to Scorpion that night. Like everyone was staying up, waiting. Like Drake has owned that, where his releases have just naturally become listening parties, which is insane. Like, who else can you say that about besides like the greats, you know? So that's, of this generation, I think he really is like one of the first people that it just transcends like genre boundaries, like gender boundaries. I feel like everyone is listening to him. There's not like a certain demographic that taps into Drake. So yeah, it was revolutionary. It's dope. Like, and of course the 3 songs are they're all good. Like, so many one-liners. All my Instagram captions taken care of for the next month, you know. That's how Drake is. I haven't peeped the video yet. I need to, because he's hilarious with visuals.
Videos tight. Shout out to Theo Scudger on that video.
Yeah.
Super dope. And what I really love is that he always finds new ways to, one, utilize his house, to, you know, individuals. But two,
he gonna show you that house,
right? Yeah, I mean, he spent so much money on it, and he low-key never has to leave the property to ever shoot a video again. Like, he can just shoot all his videos from the house because there's so many angles and whatever. But they always find new ways to like put on for Toronto. So like, there's a shot in there, and I don't, without ruining it, but there's a shot where he's on whatever that thing, the tower is called in Toronto. It's like a shot where it's like from the angle is like from the top of the needle looking down at him, but he's still on top of the, and he's looking out at the city. And it's kind of like, it's like green screen animated, but it's really dope. And you just think about like, wow, these shots are just amazing. Like, he just, and every level he levels up, and it's just, it's spooky because it's like there's no ceiling. There's no ceiling on this man. So
it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. We also got an update on Certified Lover Boy. Well, no date really, but just that he is actively working. It is in the pot. So he's cooking up back in the studio with 40 and Oliver. My guess, and I think this is kind of selfish, I think it's going to be a June release. My birthday, June 25th, is on a Friday this year. So it would be amazing to get that on my birthday, or just in the birthday month in general.
Right.
But I feel like he's gonna go for the summer release. Like, Scorpion was a summer release, but you know, Scorpion was kind of muddied by the whole Pusha T thing, and you know, it was too long. People were complaining about that. So I feel like he's gonna go for a clean summer album type of feel. But you know, time will tell with that. Another incredible release we got. SilkSonic debuted with the single Leave the Door Open. Now, SilkSonic is Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. The album will be hosted by Bootsy Collins, but you know, for everyone who was doubtful or apprehensive or concerned as to what these two would sound like together, I think Leave the Door Open just quieted any of those doubts. What a song. What a song.
I have thoughts.
That was cool.
Olivia, please go first.
Okay, yeah, you probably have more to say than me. So either of those artists aren't people I would necessarily listen to, just like from my taste. But when I heard they're collabing, you can't not respect either of them, right? Sound wise, like, taste or not, you got to recognize these are two incredible artists who are like very intentional with every part of their artistry. So putting them together, I knew it was going to be cool, but I didn't expect it to be something that I would like have on repeat, which I have. I've been like playing it all morning. It's super like calming, just like good energy. I cannot wait to see what else they put out together. I'm excited.
Yeah. Go ahead, Nick. I know Nick got a sermon.
He looks excited.
Wow. Where do I begin? This is a moment where I put out a tweet. I think the morning after that it came out, and the Friday morning, because I waited and listened at night, and it was basically a tweet outlining all the artists. So Bruno is 35, Paak is 35, D-Mile, who produced it, is 36, and then Brody Brown, who's also on there, is 42. And when you hear the track, all I could think of is, you know, it has a lot of reference to obviously soul, and these guys are I would say the stewards of that sound right now, and keeping that alive in a pop sense, in a sense of where everybody's listening to it, because way back when, that was the sound of pop radio, you know, that was the sound. And so it's great to see that this music is being kept alive in, like I said, in a general sense, because there are artists who have been doing this music since it's never gone away. And I want to make that a point, because they're not the only few doing it, but that's just the product you get when you don't skip steps. When you don't skip steps on the craft, that's just what happens. Like, and they're just heating up. Like I feel like Paak is just heating up. He's put in his work for years before he even got a look. That's why he talks about having the little dot before the Paak. He said he's been overlooked, so you're not going to look at the details anymore. And so that's just what you get when you don't skip the steps. I mean, from the arrangements to the vocals to the performance, the delivery, and I love the way, and I'm already knowing this is going to happen on the project. They're going to take the lead on different, like singing lead on songs. I loved Paak on the lead for this one and Bruno on the hook, and then you get Bruno the ad libs. It just there's I tweeted Demon, I said thank you. Wow, I'll be studying this record for years. I'll be studying for years because I can get into a bunch of musical things about it too that are, I think, I don't want to be too technical, but it's just one of those records that at the end of the day, someone who's never heard them before will feel great about it. Someone who doesn't listen to this type of music would love the song. It's just great, objectively great. And I think that's weird to say. Like, very few pieces of art are just objectively good. Whether you like or not, you're just gonna accept. You have to respect it. And so that I'm just so happy to see that soul and R&B stuff that's so true to Black music is getting put out there.
Yeah,
in a world capacity. So, man, and that's just an iceberg of my thoughts on it. But I'll keep it there.
No, I'm actually glad you made that point about them taking leagues. I had an interesting conversation this past weekend with Matt Stefanko. Shout out Stefanko. He said Anderson .Paak is like the textbook number 2 star on a basketball team. He's basically the Pippen of music. He can play a starring role on his own, but playing a contemporary role for a bigger star always suits him better. And this is his second favorite artist behind Kendrick. So like, how do you feel like hearing that? Like, do you feel like there's truth to that? Is that like almost kind of like a slight to him? Or
I wouldn't say that he's better in the background. I wouldn't say that, because I'm one of those people that's a championing of musicianship being in the front, because that's how it used to be. It used to be if you were on stage, you either sang something or you played something, right? And very much so now, because of the access, the way music can get created, it's kind of like I said, people are skipping steps, and they get on stage and you can't see, they show their flaws or the things that the steps that they've skipped or whatnot. So saying that he's like the Pippen of music, I think he's also just getting started in the sense of like, we haven't seen Paak do so many collabs across different genres, or say that I would be like, oh, Paak is such a star. He's a great, co-star. I get what he was going for. Shout out to Stefanko. What's good? I get where you're going with it, but I would say Paak is definitely a standalone, and he holds his own merit. And I think his career is, like I said, we just said, just getting started. Because before Malibu, if you were really tapped into Venice and other things like that, and Breezy Lovejoy prior to that, you really know. But he's like in a world sense. I mean, he toured Malibu for a long time, and he's just getting started. So I wouldn't say he's established himself as the number 2 yet, because I think he's a number 1 in his own capacity, because not even Bruno is upstairs on the stage playing drums and this and that and the third and doing all that. He can do that. Let's not get it twisted. But like, it's core to Anderson's artistry. Like, that's how he's branded. So I respect that opinion, but I definitely think that Anderson is just getting started on his own,
right,
in his own lane.
And with Bruno, there was some conversation on the timeline. I saw an article, I think Complex put it out, where people were questioning whether he was appropriating Black culture. And he said, like, I've paid my dues. Like, if you're questioning me, then I don't really know what to say to you anymore. And like, people on the timeline were like, yeah, I feel like Bruno's trying to figure himself out still. Like, I don't know what his lane is. And I'm just like, I feel like he's been this soulful pop artist his whole career. Like, that I've never really been confused as to what he's trying to do. And it hasn't seemed like he's been trying to find himself either. I think like he came in the game with, the track with B.O.B. and that was like a big pop type record. And since then he's stuck with that, like Grenade, Talking to the Moon, like kind of towing that line between R&B soul and pop, but like making R&B soul that goes pop because he has such a big fan base. So I was really intrigued by that, especially the whole appropriation portion of it. So
I get it. And I saw the thing when he was on with it was him, Paak, and then Charlemagne was talking to them. Is that the clip you're talking about?
It was a complex article.
Yeah, well, the one I saw, they actually sat down and spoke on it.
Oh, okay.
And Paak, and Paak was just kind of sitting there, just like, and Bruno was saying, I've always shown love. He said the point of all this is that I wouldn't be anywhere without these guys. Without these people. Like, I literally wouldn't be anywhere. And I mean, Bruno from the gate, his first album's called Unorthodox Jukebox. Like, that's his whole shtick. Like, his whole thing is that he's recreating music from the past and putting a modern spin on it at the highest level. And he said, I forget the exact words that he used, but he said it very clearly, saying like, I mean, it's just coming out of a place of love from the standpoint of, I'm, like you said, I'm nothing without these people. I'm nothing without them. And when he got, when he was on the Grammys and he won, when he swept, and he said, look, this is Teddy Riley. This is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Like, this is all of them. This ain't really me. And getting on that stage and doing that, because it's so easy to take the credit for all the work you put in, but really knowing that you're nothing without these other people, I think is really important. So appropriation, I guess, but when people love Black music, if you will, I guess you're saying any artist is appropriating Black music, if you will, because Black music is everywhere, but I'm especially aware and fond of people who are not Black, but who consistently know how to act in the house. They're a good guest. You know what I'm saying? If you will, they're a great guest.
Yeah.
He takes his shoes off. He says please and thank you. He cleans up after he eats. He washes his own plate. You know what I'm saying?
He brings a housewarming gift. Like
he does his part.
Yeah.
He can stay in the house. He's a good guest in the house. And those are the people that you want to have around, because when they leave, they're a reflection of the house, right? And so I think that, I think there's so many of them, but people who are not Black making Black music, you need to be a good guest. You're a company. And that's just what it is. You'll never be, a family member in that sense, but you can be a family friend, and you can be just like family if you know how to act in the house. And Bruno knows how to act in the house. So I think we need to let that go. We need to let go of people trying to say that he's appropriating, because he's not, in the sense of, technically, if you will, but not in the sense that where it actually matters. He's pushing the culture forward. He's saying names like Teddy Riley and Jimmy Jam in front of people who probably never heard those names. You know what I'm saying? He's doing the criteria, if you will, to, like I said, be a good guest. So that's what I got to say about that. Stop saying that. Bruno makes great music.
All love to brother Bruno Mars. Cannot wait to hear this album. Lastly, SZA dropped the Good Days video. In the outro, there was a teaser for her next song. I actually didn't get to see the video yet, so I'm gonna let y'all take the floor. Olivia, how'd you feel?
Olivia.
Oh my God, you guys. She consistently makes videos that encapsulate how her music makes you feel. Like Good Days, to me, I think I associate Good Days with like sitting, in my room in the winter in silk pajamas, smoking a blunt, like that's how I feel about Good Days. And she captured that in this video, like in that shroom garden. Armand, not to give it away, I guess, but she's sitting in this like shroom garden, and it's very SZA-esque. It even kind of carries over kind of from her like Control era even. And then the pole dancing, oh my God, of course I loved that. I thought that was so, I don't know. I got to see if that's her. I bet she posted about it or something.
I think it's her.
That's because that's hard shit. Like that is really, really years and years of training. Like, oh my God, it's just crazy that she can do these moves that like very seasoned pole dancers like probably can't even, like these are very, very highly sought after like moves that she's doing. So it's crazy. And it's crazy that I don't know how much time she's like spent practicing, or if it's like a passion of hers as well, but it was just really cool to see that stuff incorporated in a library. What? Like she's so weird, and it's so great because I feel like she taps into like all of our weird and makes us feel like that weird is validated. And yeah, she just Oh my God, she did again. I'm the biggest, like SZA is like my number one, artist. I have Control like framed in my other apartment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I like love, it's one of the 4 albums that I have framed, and it's, oh my God, just love her. But I have always kind of wanted more from her visuals, to be fair. And I think that she gave me that with Good Days, that she didn't give me in the Control era.
Really quick, let's talk about 2 things. So one, I want to know why, tell us officially, why does SZA resonate with the ladies so heavily? Because I feel like there is artists that are lady artists that, like the guys just love her, but like SZA really, like the ladies really resonate with her. Same with Summer. But why is that? Why is that? As a lady,
I think because she is the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? She doesn't, whereas her and Summer both do this, where they talk about all these things and these feelings and emotions that I feel like a lot of women go through. And especially like when Control came out, I was in college, and I lived with 5 women, DC city life. We were all packed into a 2-bedroom apartment. And that album, it never stopped playing. I don't think, like, we were cooking, we were watching Insecure, we were like, whatever we were doing, Control was in the background. And I think it's because there was a song for like how each of us felt, Supermodel, like what woman hasn't had those thoughts before? Like, am I warm enough for you? She just goes through like insecurity, love, sex in a way that is just so raw. Whereas maybe in the pop world, it's kind of like a glossed over. All of those topics are glossed over or like sugar coated. Whereas she is kind of exactly, she stripped them down. And oh my gosh, just, and then of course like the musical aspect to it, which you guys can probably understand a little more, like technically it's all just like beautiful music, but the sentiment is really there, I think, for women.
I would say like when it comes to, I think for the ladies listen to lyrics. Y'all really have a great, I soundboard a lot of my music to like most of my homegirls. That's really like where I focus on, because y'all tap into, and throughout this whole episode, I want to preface this because I feel like, as a man, correct me if I'm saying anything that sounds weird or anything like that. Just jump in and say it like this, just the whole time. I feel like y'all tap into a different level of emotion that like we don't want to recognize as in ourselves, right?
Oh, so my God, 100%.
Like for example, go ahead. No,
you finish what you're saying.
Yeah, so for example, I was doing a song, and shout out to my homegirl Key. What up, Key? Kiara. I was playing her a song that I was a draft of a song, and in my heart I was feeling like, dang, I feel like I'm holding back in one part of the song, and I hadn't said it to really anyone in the studio or not. And then I played it for her, and she's like, yeah, that part you're holding back, and I can hear it. And I'm like, how did you just pick that out of, from just one listen? How did you pick that out? And so y'all are tapped in such a great way to music when so far as how it makes you feel. And then y'all are also very tapped into the story and what are y'all actually saying. And I think that's why SZA's pen is just so relatable, because she's there, one, from the craft standpoint, and then 2, she's not afraid. She's fearless in being able to put her heart on her sleeve in a way that's so easily delivered. And so, and that's why I think people resonate with her. But secondly, too, I want to talk about, when you talk about, rollout, I'm finding with this project that I'm more invested in what's next because of how she's rolling out the videos. And each video is like, it was hit different, teasing Good Days. Now it's Good Days, teasing this new joint. And so like, I'm very invested into how that is going to happen, and also how that's going to be in the rollout. So can you speak a little bit more about how that rollout has made you feel so far as like the visuals, and you say an investment in SZA?
Yeah. First of all, I'm excited to see her leveling up visually, because like I said earlier, I feel like that's been the missing puzzle piece for her. And because her songs are so powerful that you can only, I think visuals are like one of the best parts of music in general. I really love, so like all day I won't be playing music from Spotify. I'll have like music videos on my TV. Like I just find them so telling about an artist. And I think she's ready to tell her story like that. I don't know if she was necessarily ready in the Control era, but I think this shows a shift in her artistry, where she's like, I'm gonna bear a little bit more of my soul now. Like first I bared my soul to you lyrically, and now here I am coming to you visually with my story. So I'm really excited. And what you said about women listening to lyrics, that's so true, because whenever my roster is heavily male, and whenever I'm in the studio with my artists, obviously I won't name any names, but they're all like rappers and they say certain things, and I'll be like, oh, why did you say that? And they're like, what? Just lyrics? Like, what? Why are you dogging me? And I'm like, but why? Like, do you feel that way? Is that how you feel? And they're like, oh, why do you talk like a therapist? But that's just like how women digest music, I feel like, is I'll be like, well, why'd you say that? Why would you say something if you don't mean it? And it's definitely like something that kind of tends to go over their head. They'll be like, it's just rap or whatever. I'm like, but that's like your artistry, right? Like because I listen to music like that. Like every word, I like listen to it and be like, okay, like that's how you feel. And I think Drake, I don't know what he did. He must have some really good women on his team, because he does that so well. Like every single word means something in his songs. He doesn't have filler lines. So whatever he did, everybody else should get on that because he's good at it.
Artists, I'm telling you, it's a key. I've done it for myself. Soundboard your music with the ladies, with women. They got it. They know.
We do. And I've had a lot of A&Rs say the same thing. Like a lot of the female A&Rs who come on my platform, we do like a regular women in A&R talk. They'll be like, oh, they're an asset, because some clients like won't even think about putting out a song before running it by a female A&R. And that's it's value.
I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah. This is why it's been said for years now, women are the tastemakers in the culture. Like when you're going out to a club and you see women screaming to a song, you know, oh, that song is it. Like Nick said, when you send a song to a woman and they actually give you critique beyond, oh, this beat is dope, you sound good, but she's actually telling you about the songwriting, like that stuff matters. This is why we're doing Stay Busy Women's History Month, because the women in the music industry just get it on a completely different level. I'm doing up motions, not down motions, up motions. Women are elevated.
Yeah,
we here, they there.
Thinking is elevated. It's elevated.
We here, they're there.
Yeah, don't worry, we don't get it twisted. Yeah, it is. I think that's the strategy, especially with like R&B particularly, is like once the ladies love it, the guys will love it.
You have to make music for the women. Like toxic R&B is cool, but the R&B that makes women feel nurtured and loved and warm, that's the stuff.
Those are the platinum albums.
Longevity. There you go.
Yes, those are the ones I'll get framed, you know? That's the difference between like a nice little bop R&B album and like an R&B album that's carried over for years and years and years. Like I think Shea Butter Baby is a good example of one of those albums.
Perfect example.
Over It, of course. Those are also the three out of the 4 albums I have framed. The 4th is Lemonade, of course. But I just think R&B is so, and even though in my daily life I might lean towards more like rap or drill and stuff, R&B is so powerful. It's so long lasting.
Oh, yes. It's that that soul nourishment.
Come on.
Soul nourishment. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love this conversation we got into. But all this talking, I know I'm parched. Got the water here. I don't know if Olivia's sipping anything. I know Nick over there.
I got coffee, guys. I'm not good like you guys.
That's such a perfect segue. So funny you said you had coffee, because right here I got the amazing shout out to Mudwater. Mudwater is an amazing coffee alternative. That's the way I look at it. And that's how they brand themselves. It has 1/7 of the caffeine of a cup of coffee and none of the crash. So I wasn't necessarily a huge coffee drinker, but someone I like a little boost in the morning, and I was typically using just, teas. I like different types of teas. And I saw an ad for this and I said, you know what, let me try it, because I really love chais. Masala chai is one of the main bases with black tea, ginger, cardamom, cloves, nutmeg, black pepper. And I've been drinking this. This is my 2nd refill here, and it's just been amazing. They do it like on a subscription basis, and I felt better. I've maybe do 2-3 cups in the beginning. I was drinking like 2-3 cups a day. Mostly hot, and it was just an amazing little energy kick, natural, like a kind of a nice, and then it just lets you down. Very nice and easy, no crash. And I've really been enjoying it. Now I've been putting it in my smoothies here, trying it in the cold variety, and I've been mixing with protein shakes after a workout. Put a little protein shake and with a little bit of mud water in there, and it's been really good. So this is something I've been enjoying. So shout out to Mudwater for that. Mudwater, get at us, yo. I like this. I like this. But anyways, our half and half is coming out of the Rolling Stone by Samantha. His song, this is something that was really interesting to me. I had to do some more background research, and I'm still figuring it out, but I want to kind of hit the general ideas, and I think Olivia will have some very nice input on this. This is something that's happening now in the, I guess, in the pandemic, out of parameters and out of stressful situations. You know, we create greatness and creativity. And so Kings of Leon will be the first band to release an album as an NFT. So that's term has been floating around a little bit in Twitter, and when I've seen it a few times and not known what it was. So I looked it up, and so this past Friday, March 5th of this year, was released, the Kings of Leon released When You See Yourself, which was as a non-fungible token. So NFT stands for non-fungible token, which is a type of cryptocurrency. And so they became the first band to ever do so. So the band is dropping three parts of the token in this series, and I'll get into that in a second. But first, to describe what an NFT is. So NFT is a type of cryptocurrency, like I said, but instead of holding money, they hold assets. So like art or tickets and music. And so they operate in a blockchain, which is basically a publicly accessible and transparent network. Anyone can see the details of an NFT transaction, same the way cryptocurrency work with Bitcoin and all that. Anyone can see those records. So it's very interesting for me because also the value becomes subjective. So they also kind of like have this sort of stock-like characteristic to them. So previously, a lot of DJs and producers had been utilizing this sort of as like an additional source of revenue in the pandemic. You know, no ability to have money actually exchanging hands and whatnot. Their partner, Kings of Leon, had partnered with a company called Yellowheart, which is basically allowing artists the platform to be able to sell these NFTs, these non-fungible tokens, on their platform. So it creates this sort of FOMO, this sort of like, they're doing special setup with this. So the token for the NFT is a limited amount. So the project is going to be available, of course, on all streaming platforms. But their version on Yellowheart, the NFT version on Yellowheart, will be we'll have a special version that says it'll be priced at $50, including enhanced media, which is kind of like an alternate moving album cover, digital download of the music, as well as a limited edition vinyl. The sale is only open for 2 weeks. So they started last Friday on the 5th, and it's open only for 2 weeks. And after that, no more will be made, and the NFT becomes a tradable collectible. So the CEO of Yellowheart had came out and said some really interesting things. He said, quote, "Music has become great at selling everything except music. There's been a race to the bottom where for as little money as possible, you have access to all of it. Previously, it cost $20 to go get one song," end quote. So Yellowheart is minting 18 unique looking golden tickets as a part of the Kings of Leon NFT release. Out of the 18, the band will auction 6 of them and vault the other 12 like a painter would to do with a rare piece from a series of art. So what is happening, guess, is now people are trading these almost, it's like experiential limited edition. That's been kind of happening a little bit more, but now it's really getting into the digital side. It's a cryptocurrency now. And so artists may have the capacity now to be able to do special versions of releases or just any merch or content that is in the form of a cryptocurrency that can be sold and then also then traded to other people around in sort of this rare thing. So I want you to speak a little bit more, Olivia, and I'll pose this question to the entire group, is that like we've been talking about in the half-and-half before and prior about digital experiences, artists creating avatars and being able to do brand partnerships with these avatars and sell merch through these avatars and sort of things like that. Fortnite, we've seen all the things above, and now we're seeing it in a real financial capacity, if you will, with cryptocurrency. So what are your thoughts on all this and like seeing artists? I know Trippie's very much so on the cusp of like being able to try everything, because Trippie seems very free in trying different things and whatnot. And so when you're working with an artist who's on the cusp of new ways to put out their art, what do you think about all this that's happening?
Oh, I'm so excited. Also, being from the digital world and being somebody who a big part of my job is to believe in digital developments early, this is really exciting to me. I just think it's so crucial to never like write things off because they're confusing. So I think NFTs confuse a lot of people, myself included. I was very confused for so long. Like, I've had so many conversations with like friends in the industry, like, okay, explain to me what this is. And especially after I think it was like Sway Lee announced his, that's when I was really like, okay, let me look into this. And Trippie being someone who's very artistic, he does a lot of fashion collabs. This seems like something that I'm excited to see how he'll lean into it. You know, I don't want to say anything yet. That's for him to talk about. But I think because he's so artistic, you know, it'd be cool for him. And I'm excited to see artists need more, like, not just streams of revenue, but artists deserve more like sides to their business. They deserve to be able to diversify more. And to see artists leaning into like the digital crypto world is really exciting for me. So curious to see how this goes with audio, with like songs and things like that. But I think, again, because it's confusing, maybe if we find like a very like accessible way of explaining NFTs or of talking about them, I think people will be more likely to like invest in learning about these things and even purchasing them. Who was the electronic artist that just sold his NFT for like a shit ton of money, and he's like not even that big of an artist? I need to find this article, but he's like, I had never heard of him personally. I'm not particularly tapped into the electronic world, but I know, you know, I consider myself like fairly in tune with that world, and I had never heard of him, and he sold like a $1,000.
Guess who it is?
Oh, someone just typed it.
He went to Cornell. He went to Cornell.
No way.
Armand. He went to
That's
Cornell.
Cool.
He was, so our slope day, what was that, freshman year, I think he was slope day. He was an opener in 2014.
Oh, that's crazy. An opener. And how much, someone find out how much he sold it for, but it was like
11.6.
That's crazy.
So
it was like, oh my God, who knows? What if, imagine like Beyonce starts selling NFTs, like imagine the value. It's like, I think people also kind of got excited about like virtual concerts, like AI and whatever. And that didn't really take off because it wasn't necessarily accessible. Like not everyone could have it. It required like a couple $1,000 investment per person to get that software. But NFTs are different because anyone could buy them, right? You don't need a particular software to buy them. You just need the capital to like buy them up front. So I think this is interesting. I think this is definitely something to keep our eyes on in the music industry.
Yeah.
This is amazing. $11.6 million.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine like anybody who's had a Billboard top 200.
And I mean,
what? That potential is unlimited.
I also believe Illmind. I know Illmind. Shout out to Illmind. He's on that wave as well. He's always in front. I believe he auctioned the right to a sample pack. He does a lot of sample packs for producers and whatnot to make, you know, create sounds and files that they can put in their music and beats. But basically, I believe auction went off for $6,000. It was called Alorium, and that was like the first time a sample pack had ever been auctioned off. And it's just people are finding new creative ways to make bread, and I'm so excited for this sort of stuff. But yeah, it does require a little bit. I'm still figuring it out myself, but it does require a little bit of like understanding, and I think it'd be very important for us to break that down to a very tangible, digestible way for just, you know, everyday person to understand. But
yeah,
it's just something that, I mean, homeboy made 11.6 in one shot.
It's crazy.
6,000.
I have a question for you guys. Could you guys see yourself purchasing any artist NFT?
I would.
If you had the ability to own something like just you had from an artist.
Oh yes,
yeah,
of course.
It would probably depend on how invested I am in the artist. Like if Drake did it 100%, if Black did it 100%, if like Division
those are your guys.
Neo did it, yeah, like it would probably be my guys, because like I'm still learning a bit more about all this, and like I love the point you made about how people kind of write something off when they don't understand it. I remember back in like 2017, 2018 when Bitcoin first got popular, and I was like, I don't really get this, I'm just gonna not engage in it. But like we've seen cryptocurrency grow over time, and like, you know, music artists really push the envelope, and people really get invested in these things when they see their favorite artists doing it. And this is also, like, aside from music, it's really cool for financial literacy, for people to look at other ways to develop revenue streams and make money. So I really think this is gonna pop off. So yeah, no, I would absolutely purchase, probably based on who my favorite artists are. But when I learn more about it and see, you know, the opportunity there, then I think my interest will expand a bit.
I'm so excited for this. We need stay busy NFTs. But anyways, that's my half and half, y'all.
Yeah, exclusive podcast episodes. That'd be cool.
You see.
See, maybe the music business side has something here for this too.
That's what I'm saying. 100%. I'm trying to get paid.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah. Imagine you do an interview, like Billboard does an interview with someone, and they're like, you can buy it, you can trade it, but you can't see it online. Like, that would be pretty cool. I can think of a few like cool, super high up industry people that I might actually be interested in that, business.
One person owns it and it's tradable. Yeah. It's like collectibles.
It's tradable. Like that's cool.
We're going back to that idea, like collectible things from artists, memorabilia. This is a digital memorabilia, which is so cool. So this is, I'm besides myself. It's so cool.
I love it. Okay, let's move on to our employee of the month. Let's give another shout out to the homegirl, Njera Perkins. Right, all right. Njera Perkins is a publicist, freelance writer, and senior writer for Afrotech. Baltimore native, New York-based journalist, lends her skillful pen to speak on topics that pertain to music, pop culture, tech, and business, with an emphasis on amplifying the stories of Black people. Her words have been featured in several publications, including OK Player, Shadow and Act, The Gumbo, and Daily Rap Facts. In addition to her other career endeavors, Njera serves as the editor-in-chief of The Fourth Quarter, a Baltimore-based media outlet that strives to provide exposure for local artists and report on all things at the intersection of music, culture, sports, and more. If you didn't see my interview with her this past week for the Lifestyle NYC, had a great conversation with her. She speaks on her feelings on R&B, how she got into writing, how it feels to be a part of our very supportive writing community that really developed in the pandemic around like April, May 2020 and has continued since then, and why she was the 2020 quarantine MVP in writing, which I think she has a very strong claim to, if not being that. So one more time, shout out to the homegirl, Njera Perkins. Yes.
Njera is dope. That's cool that you guys are spotlighting her because she is so dope.
Yeah, that's the homie. Very, very supportive, and she does great work. I feel like her articles just keep getting better and better. So can't wait to see what she does this year. But it's time to hear some tunes. So we're gonna jump into the slide deck. We are here. We got it's Stay Busy Women's History Month, so we are playing tracks exclusively from the women. We're gonna let our guest go first. What track did you bring for us, Olivia?
All right, guys. I got Steady by Jem Chantel.
Yeah, I rock the boat, but I'm steady. Don't act like you know me already. Aye, you just met me. Aye, you ain't ready. Yeah, I rock the boat, but I'm steady. Don't act like you know me already. Aye, you just met me. Aye, you ain't ready. Where the drum, where the bass at? Off the fence, where my friends at? Give a lot, try to get that. No, I'm not what you take back. I know I'm gonna bring up everything. Is it wrong? Would you let me go? Would you care? Swinging high or low? Are you still there? Yeah, I rock the boat, but I'm steady. Don't act like you know me already. Aye, you just met me. Aye, you ain't ready. Yeah, I rock the boat, but I'm steady. Don't act like you know me already.
Always love an R&B reference. Yeah, we let rock the boat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And if you see her like visually, she very much, you can tell she was very influenced by Aaliyah in her style and stuff. So it's cool. And I love that it's just like a feel good song.
Yeah.
I almost envision like a big like Aaliyah style production for a music video, like backup dancers, choreo, stuff like that. I think would be just so like powerful for this song, but it's cool. It definitely makes you want to dance.
Yes,
100%.
yes. I love
100%.
that one.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that. That's hard. I'm about to save that to my Spotify right now.
Yeah, save it.
Yeah. Brother Nick, what did you bring for us, good sir?
I brought some stuff to get y'all going. This is an artist I really have been tapped into, is duo actually, that I've been tapped into for a really long time. This is Lion Babe, but this is off their project that happened in 2019, Cosmic Wind. This is The Wave with Lion Babe featuring Lakaylee 47, produced by Astro Raw. You feel me?
Okay.
See, I was
groovy.
Yeah, it was in a groovy
groovy
vibe. Cause they got on that project. She has, she's like my electronic Erykah Badu. When listening to that project, you listen to her like, dang, you sound like Erykah. But it's like it's very groovy, up tempo, feel good, electronic, soulful. I really love that genre, that pocket. Her and Kate Shinrada, Lion Baby Kate Shinrada, they would go crazy. She was actually, I found out about her in the group. She's her and a producer. I found about her she's actually Vanessa Williams' daughter. So she, I found out that for Disclosure, she was on Disclosure's Carousel from 2015 and have an amazing song on that project. And that's how I found out about Lion Babe. But amazing vocalist. And that project, they got more like, if you will, trap and B, commercial R&B stuff. But they just touch all types of pockets. And so that was the one I was feeling. Lakaylee 47 is a spitter. If y'all not hip, please get hip.
100%. Yeah.
Spit.
Love anything she's on. As soon as you said she was on this, good impression automatically.
Right. Yeah.
She's so fire.
Right. And she's someone that like I've known about for a while because of the mask, obviously, and just her character, her persona, which is I think is a solid branding thing. And but I haven't been as tapped in with the music because I just honestly I don't listen to that much rap and hip hop and whatnot. But the stuff that I have heard of her, she's out of here. So
she kills everything she's on.
Right.
Everything. So, she's a feature writer. Some people just ride all their features. Yes. She's like that.
Yeah. Shout out to Lakaylee 47 on that. But produced by Astro Raw as well. So I enjoyed that track.
For sure. Thank you for that. I'm going to finish up. I brought the Lifeboats Freestyle by Georgia Smith, produced by Tom Misch.
And it all falls down, yeah. And it all falls down again. And it all falls down, yeah. And it all falls down. How can you learn how to swim before you get in? Sometimes you gotta take the plunge just to get in. Life's not full of shallow end, your house ain't full of armbands. Stay afloat, someone might put their arm out to help you. I don't know, I would if I saw somebody drowning in a sea of self-confusion. I wanna be the one to try and understand why their tide ain't coming in and their lighthouse ain't shining. So why do we all fall down? If there's a reason we can stay afloat, why do we watch them drown? We're too selfish in the lifeboats. Why do we all fall down? If there's a reason we can stay afloat, why do we watch them drown? Yeah. So why are all the richest staying afloat? Seen all my brothers drowning even though they knit the boat. Mothership ain't helping anyone. See, the ships are getting bigger, full of greed and wasteful men, soaking kids with the lies before they even got to 10. Sailing the internet waves, a tsunami of wires, a flood to take us under if we can't afford the life jackets. Majority don't even have the life jacket. Majority might fall with the tax brackets. The minority might jump to the next bracket. On the form to sign up for a raft and a pay packet, with the same old unemployed age bracket. Even money sinks to the bottom when it's waterlogged, so nobody truly stays afloat. Yeah. So why do we all fall down? If there's a reason we can stay afloat, why do we watch them?
So, I particularly played that record because the night Scary Hours 2 dropped, they played a Georgia Smith song on Sound 42, and the timeline was like, why are they playing her? We hate Georgia, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? People hate Georgia Smith? Like,
that's goofy.
No,
what
they
I
don't.
noticed,
Really?
what I noticed was it was a lot of Drake stans who have problems with her because of the supposed relationship they had and they broke up. So I tweeted, yo, letting your Drake standum make you hate Georgia Smith is insane. You guys need to have a healthy distance from the people that you love. And then my boy Cam quoted it and he was like, shorty, real life can't sing though. And I was like, this is the narrative? People think Georgia can't sing. Like, yo, do you remember when she dropped her debut album, Lost and Found, in 2018? She dropped the same day as J-Rock. Everyone loved that album. And then like people in the thread were like, yo, people fake cared about her music because she was cute or because she was next to Drake. I was like, really? Is this really what people think?
Yikes.
Like, that just doesn't sound true to me at all. And like, I looked it up. The album went gold in the UK. You only have to sell 100K copies to go gold in the UK. So whatever, but like, but it still went gold, and it ended up on a lot of end of year lists and all that. And I was like, I feel like that album was pretty critically acclaimed. And I even read due to her vocal delivery, due to the production, due to the content. So I was just like, this is really weird, but it just goes to show the whole subjectivity of music. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts on Georgia Smith too, because I didn't know people hated her. Like, this is news to me.
I didn't know she had that thing going on with Drake, but I know if you're gonna hate everyone that Drake's had some type of something with, that's a long list. I don't know if
J-Lo, Serena Williams,
right?
Like Rihanna.
You know,
come on.
No shade to Drake, but you know he's doing his thing, and yeah, you can't do that. I don't know. Personally, I've never gotten like into her simply because I think she's a great vocalist. I don't think you can really like debate that she's not a good vocalist, but I don't think her music moves me in a way that a lot of other R&B girls do. Again, like thinking back to people like, I don't know, like Ari Lennox and stuff like that, where I'm like, damn, that's a powerful song. She has the powerful vocals, but I don't think she has like the lyricism, the like, I don't think she's, this is gonna sound horrible, I don't think she's hurt. Like, I don't think she's like finding a way to get through to people in a way that R&B has to. But I don't think that people should like, I don't think she's hateable. That's a little much. Like, she doesn't do anything to like provoke people, really, I don't think. So I don't know why people would hate her, but I can see not being too enticed with her personally.
I could see that also. One thing I think that sometimes is a factor, people from across the pond, I think sometimes just don't get it. Like what our life, it's just a different perspective. And yeah, she's speaking on things that are, I guess, ubiquitous to the world, like love and heartbreak and whatnot. But I think for obviously all the ones that you spoke about, those are American, like people who like, I think they speak to a certain, I don't know, maybe that's the thing I think about, but I felt this way with some UK acts, and most of the time UK acts, to me, I prefer the way they're approached to everything because they're so big on the craft. They're so big on not skipping steps. So I really love UK artists, but that might be another thing too, because they say some things I'm just like, I think of this more in like art, in another capacity of art. I have this like ongoing thing where I want more like Black American, if you will, heartthrob actors to be like out in front, as opposed to like all the British ones getting all the looks. And I love the British ones, but like, it's just one of those things where it's like, y'all are telling the Black American experience. Why shouldn't that be told by a Black American? Not that it's a different Black experience. You have the same Black experience, but it's a different one. And so I just think about that maybe being a factor here in like other parts of the art of the arts, if you will, like those
That
things
makes a
not
lot of
hitting
sense.
those things not hitting home a little, a little bit more, because it's like, I don't know, like maybe I don't feel you the way I would feel a SZA, an Ari.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
but
And not
also
to say
your
she doesn't
point,
make good music.
the rawness,
It's just
though, I think
yeah.
that's a main factor, because
The
like,
rawness,
you
that's
got to
the
get to the
word.
rawness first, and then
Yeah.
everything else I think falls in line.
Yeah. And I
that
think
might
it
be
has
the
more to do with how I consume music. So I'm not necessarily like, I feel like good songs and like good, well-crafted songs are a dime a dozen, but songs that make me like feel something, that like pull some type of emotion out of me, that's what I'm gonna find to be like moving and worthwhile. And that's the way I look at like my clients' music and like what I listen to personally. I think a lot of that like informs how I feel about her.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. No, that's a really, really good point. Like, and I would say from the album Lost and Found, I would say February 3rd made me feel something. Like, that's probably the best song on her album. So I don't know if you heard it, but definitely check that one out. But that's a really good point. Like, she still has to kind of hit that level where she's relating to people, where people are like, oh, like Georgia vibes, like it's like Summer Walker vibes, SZA vibes, like those really resonate. Georgia just, she makes really good music. Like that's really where it is. And I'm looking forward to her next project. She's been on like tracks with Burna Boy and a bunch of other people, and like everything I've heard is good, but it's like, yeah, she's still missing that thing that makes her connect like completely with people. But
it's the
I was just so baffled with seeing all that hate, all that vitriol. I was like, what? Like,
yeah, people have this like deep hatred for a lot of like, I hate to bring this into it, but really it goes back to like people love to hate women. Like they really love to like hate like people, I guess, and just like what's popular, like people like to hate, but they don't seem to have that hate for like mid-tier R&B guys. Like no one's like hating Giveon. Like he doesn't have haters. But like Georgia Smith, like that's a certain amount of like hate that it's deeper than just not liking her music.
For them,
which I think has to do with the Drake thing for sure.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think about. She hasn't said anything crazy as far as I know. She keeps to herself. She's pretty quiet. She'd be posting fire pics on Instagram. Like, how can you hate this person?
I don't think she said anything. I can't think of one thing good or bad that she said. Like, she hasn't said anything memorable.
Yeah. So very, very weird. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to hear these tracks and the rest of our slides from previous weeks, hit the Stay Busy slide deck playlist on all platforms in the link tree in our Twitter and Instagram bio. If you want a slide added, send it to us at StayBusyPod on IG and Twitter, or email us at staybusypod@gmail.com. Make sure you join that mailing list as well. We're about to jump into this board meeting, but before that, we got to play a fun game of auto reply. So to remind you of the rules, Nick and I are going to go back and forth saying a word to our guest, Olivia, and she's going to say the first thing that comes to mind. There's no pressure. It's going to be real fun. Loosen up, stretch a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Take a breath. It's going to be real cool. Are you ready, though?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Nick, you want to kick us off, brother?
We're going to start easy. Social.
I guess like social butterfly, like being more than social media. Like,
but it could be anywhere. It don't gotta be associated to what you do, because you'll see when we get to the words, it's gonna be random.
Okay, yeah, I'm a person before I'm a business.
There you go, butterfly. Cool. Next word is acupuncture.
Acupuncture, I love acupuncture. I guess I just think about like my acupuncturist, Sherry Chang. Am I allowed to say her name on here?
Shout out Sherry.
So we'll shout out Sherry Chang up in Brooklyn. That's my girl. Shout out Sherry. Yeah, I go every week. I fucking love acupuncture. I'm like the biggest acupuncture proponent ever.
Love that.
Big deal. Like mental and physical health is really helpful. So yeah, mental, physical. There we go. Health.
Next word is impression.
Impression. Ooh, maybe like first impression.
First, okay.
That's a big one.
Next word is boss.
Boss. I'm thinking about boss talks. Think about my interview series. Normally I'm on the other side. Better plug myself here, you guys. Yeah, speaking of that, I just did the biggest one of my career with I can't say who, but you guys are gonna find out soon. She's excited. Massive. Like she's never given an interview before too. So this will be her first. Okay. Yeah, this is her debut, and she tells all. She's one of the OGs, so it's gonna be cool.
Very nice, dope.
That's what I think about. She's a boss. That's who I think. She is a boss. She is a president at a major label, so that's what I'm gonna say.
Nice.
But yeah,
and we'll go with Amethyst is next.
Amethyst collab, me,
Nice,
my company. I think about Amethyst, like why I named it. It's like divine feminine energy, right? Which like anyone can tap into, not just women. Like everyone really should be tapping into their divine feminine.
Nice.
That's what I think about.
Talk about it. Next word is cultivate.
Cultivate. I guess I think about like art curation. Which is random, like museums, like cultivating like a vibe or whatever.
So museum. Let's go with museum.
Yeah, museum. I'm thinking like MoMA right now.
Nice. Next one is stimulus.
Stimulus check, baby. Run me that money. That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly.
Last word is Olivia.
Olivia, me. Olivia Shalhoup. Me. I don't know many other Olivias. Besides Olivia Rudinsky, that's my girl. She's Miley Cyrus's social media manager.
Oh, okay. All right. Very fun game of auto reply. We're going to get into this board meeting. We got a fun conversation coming up with Olivia Shalhoup, digital lead for Trippie Red, founder of Amethyst Collab, host of Boss Talks, and just a genuinely kind presence on social media, which we love.
Thank you.
So let's get into your background. We kind of spoke a bit off mic about, where you grew up and all that, but tell the people, where you were born, kind of how you grew up, and what developed your interest in music early on.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess in my like young life, I bounced around through a lot of cities. I was born outside of New York City, around here. You don't need to know where, because I don't need anyone looking at my birth chart. That's one thing. I don't need anyone knowing what date and time. That's none of your business. But outside of New York City, that's the closest you need to know. And then lived in the DC area for a little bit, DMV represent, and then moved to Southern California, about an hour south of LA, Orange County, where I spent like most of my formative years, and then went back to DC for school, back to LA for work, and now I'm in New York City, in Brooklyn baby. And that's it. Yeah, basically I feel like I've been really heavily influenced by like every major city, which is cool. Or the three, not the South though. I'm coming to the South next, that's for sure.
That's a fact. I love the South. Every time
Atlanta.
I've enjoyed it. Atlanta's amazing.
I'm on my way. I got a few clients down in Atlanta, and I represent a company down in the South in Memphis. So I gotta get down there at some point, because I think Southern culture is becoming like so widespread in the US. Yes, so absolutely. It would be like crazy to neglect it.
Absolutely. And so obviously being a digital lead, you're very involved in using social media and planning campaigns and all that. Is that something that did you study like PR or something similar to that in college, or was it something that you kind of stumbled upon after?
No, well, I went to school in DC and I studied international politics. When I was in college, I was like a researcher at the Library of Congress. I wrote about sectarian conflict in the Middle East, and I'm published in the Library of Congress. I was the youngest person to be published on that topic actually at the time, which was exciting. So I had a very promising future in international politics, which I threw away the second I met Nipsey Hussle and started doing some stuff for his nonprofit. I got very much into the like hip hop nonprofit world. I worked for Hip Hop Caucus, who is it's Jay-Z and Diddy's nonprofit, and they basically focus on voter engagement in the hip hop community. Anyone, like you could literally Google anyone even slightly involved in hip hop, and they've been part of a campaign with Hip Hop Caucus. They're really cool, and that's what really bridged the gap for me between like the social type of work that I was doing and the music work that I'm doing now. And of course, I always I was always doing social medias at these jobs, and like even when I worked for an embassy, I was like running their digital presence and stuff like that. So I've always known I liked it, but really actually started as an A&R assistant. And my boss, it was at Maverick Management subsidiary, George Co. I worked under Nick George, and he would always put me on these social media projects. And he's like, "You're so good at this. Can you do this, that?" And I was always like, I want to do A&R. Like I want to do more of the, take me to the label meetings, whatever. Right. But thank God that he saw something in me that I didn't necessarily like want to lean into. Just because back then it was like, this was years ago where social media, it's still kind of like frowned upon as a job title. But back then it was like, oh, social media is lame. Like everyone, we should delete our Facebooks and whatever. But now it's like a very necessary profession. Like I really believe you cannot be a Billboard charting artist and not have a social media manager, or at least like a social media strategist. It's the number one part of rollouts right now, anything digital. There's, especially because we don't have the in-person things that we used to due to like COVID and stuff. But in general, I think even when things are back in person, I think social is going to be the first thing still. that fans look to for new artists. So yeah, that's kind of what got me into it. And then Tripp's manager, Charlene, she gave me the opportunity with him. And from there, it was just like a snowball effect where I was like, yeah, this is what I'm good at. This is what I love. I'm going to lean into it.
That's really dope. That's really dope. Finding that it's great to know when you have an aptitude for something, had some experience and gets to cultivate it, and then people recognize it, and then it's almost like it found you in a way. You know,
it did find me, and I resisted for a minute. I was like, social media, how am I supposed to do? Because I love doing social media, like for myself. Like I love just like being up on trends and whatever. And I think that's what sets me apart from a lot of social media managers, where a lot of people come at it like 100% from the analytical side. Whereas like I really have always like had my feet on the ground with trending digital topics and things like that. I think it helps me like be in touch with my artist fan base. And because like all the artists I take on, I'm like part of their general internet community, if that makes sense. Like I've always been into like SoundCloud rap. So of course I knew how to talk to Trippie's audience. And I think that's what also like sets me apart is I wouldn't take like a random client, right? Like I'm very like specific about which audiences I know I can market to.
Right. Are you of the mind, I'm just curious, just to get right into it, are you of the mind that an artist needs to be everywhere? Or in the digital world, we're gonna say digital lead because you a digital lead. In a digital stamp, okay, cool. On all socials, does the artist need to have a presence everywhere? Or should they just focus on a few really engaging their audience? Like, what is your perspective on that?
You're not going to like it. You're not going to like the answer. I always just have to say you have to be everywhere now. But you do have to know which platforms are platforms that you should really invest your content creation into and which are more like boxes you need to check. Personally, I believe that Instagram is now a box you need to check, right? It's not necessarily because the algorithm and the way it works now, it's so ad heavy. It's not necessarily a platform that you're going to blow up on or grow from anymore. Obviously, like Tripp has a lot of success on there because he really started early with like socializing on Instagram and stuff. But starting right now, I don't believe you have the same capacity to blow up on Instagram, but you can definitely lose momentum from not being on Instagram. So knowing which platform is which for you, knowing like where your fans live, TikTok is a must. You can't not be on TikTok. Like artists like to say like, oh, but my fan base, especially like rappers, they'll be like, but my fan base is on TikTok. They are no matter what size you are. Like there's like a golden retriever fandom on TikTok. Like there's anything on there, you know, there's nothing you can't tap into. So you have to be everywhere, but don't shy away from like repurposing. I tell everyone there's no reason you can't post your TikToks or erase that watermark and put them up on Reels. You don't have to necessarily be making new content, but you shouldn't neglect anything, especially in the early phases.
I think about also too, I got two questions. I'm always that way. But I think about, as from an independent artist standpoint, when you're thinking about, okay, I know I need to be everywhere. Okay, how do I find my voice? And you're trying to do all that at the same time. And you're trying to say, okay, what type of content do I even create? And then you think about some artists who are really great and they post their music content. And then some artists are literally like their social media presence has nothing to do with their art. It's just them. And you're just into them as a person. And so how do you suggest about, artists going about trying to find what content to even put out, their voice to even put out there in the world? Because I think it is important to put out social media, but also have a presence that people want to tune into,
Yeah, so something that I find really important is knowing that, especially in the beginning phases of your career, you're not responding to what you think your fans like, you're teaching them what to like, right? Like, so you set that foundation. Yeah, like if you want to post, if who you are as an artist is posting your music all the time, find good ways to do that. If who you are is like a Lil Nas X, like you post memes and shit posts and you're like funny, find fans that like that. Like you need to find the fans that will respond to your content rather than curating your content to what you think fans will respond to. I think that's how you create longevity.
This is why she's here, y'all. This is why she's here. We need that. See, that's something I haven't even thought of. Teach them what to like, which goes back to just putting out what's natural to you, what comes natural to you. You feel like you enjoy doing, because you got to manage, you got to create it. So when we're talking about the content, what's sort of the day-to-day for digitally for someone like a Trippie, a huge artist like that? What's that day-to-day looking like?
A lot of partnerships. So they'll do, you know, especially around releases, like partnerships with DSPs and brands and things like that. The bigger the client is, the more your job will be dealing with partnerships, which is always fun. Like I love any type of partnership, content collaboration, things like that. A lot of like approving copy, so much more. So copy, for people don't know, is like caption writing. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know that. Like I know you two obviously know this, but like the general population doesn't use that terminology. But writing copy is like a huge part of my job, and like tweaking like where emojis go, what emoji we're using, like that's very important to me. Yeah, at one point, a big part of my job was like approving we had a separate team who was running like text marketing for one of my artists, and I would like have to approve where they put the emojis, because that stuff is like, it matters. I know it sounds crazy, but it matters. And you have to be like I'm very like anal about this stuff, right? Like I wouldn't even put an extra exclamation point where it doesn't sound, and like you have to be like that type of crazy to be a good social media manager or a good digital lead. Like I spend so much time tweaking copy. A lot of analytics too. I run a lot of analytic reports. You also have to be like data minded to be good at this job. Usually social media teams will have like a data side and a creative side, and I'm like fortunate where I can do both, and I do both. To brag, I feel like I do both pretty well.
Of course
so you like have to tap into that data side, because otherwise, like, how are you going to show your clients the results of like what you're doing, right? Because they'll see like followers and stuff, but that's not always what I focus on.
Right. I'm stuck on this emoji thing. Please tell me what it matters if I use the shark emoji and put it in the front, or then, you know, shout out Neon Shark and the Pegasus for Pegasus. But like, why does that matter? And what message would one put out versus the other? Being in front, that back, like what's the thought process behind that?
So with someone, we can use him as an example, even though I'm not talking particularly about him, like with someone like Trippie, whose fans are, and I love this about his fans, like he's such a fun artist to work with because his fans are highly dedicated, highly tuned in. You cannot post and delete for someone like him. It's already up on 1 million fan pages, you know? So fans will analyze every single tweet, and I'll see like stuff that he posts himself. They'll be like, this is his label posting, you know, like fans feel very connected to the way an artist speaks and presents themselves, and like using 2 emojis instead of 3, where like he always uses 3, they're gonna be like, this isn't authentic, like he's just faking it, this is his label. And you gotta know, which fine, like that's fine, you know, you want to feel like you're hearing what you are, like you're hearing directly from the artist, and you don't want to like fail an artist fan base by just acting like the little things aren't important when they're important to the fan base, because that's who you're catering to ultimately, is the fans, which goes back to why like understanding that base is important to working social media for that base, right? Because you can't market to people you don't know.
So you put out this tweet the other day, and I want to read it, and then I want to give you some time to expound.
You thought you were going to escape the tweet? You thought you were just going to put that out there and not get it read?
What did I do?
I saw it. I immediately sent it to the chat. I was like, we're talking about this when she comes in.
Exactly. No, it's a good thing.
It's a great thing. So
what I say?
It's crazy that people don't look at Trippie as a case study in genius social media strategy. He has double the followers of Lil Nas X, a higher engagement rate than Kim K, and yet no think pieces on how brilliant his use of socials to engage a fan base is. The floor is yours.
He's a genius, and like he built all this stuff before I ever came into the team. Like he's been running, his socials have been popping since like 2017 when he first blew up on SoundCloud. To this day, he has the most played song on SoundCloud of all time, Fuck Love with X.
Really?
Of all time. So he defines a generation of rap, and people don't like to give that to not just him, but to like anyone of the SoundCloud rap generation. Like if I straight up told my mom like I'm working for Lil Nas X, she would know who I'm talking about. But if I'm like I'm working for Trippie Redd, maybe I have to explain a little more. That's just so crazy to me that he isn't necessarily revered as like a genius, because people are always talking about like Miley Cyrus, she's so good at socials. Like yes, she is. Lil Nas X also very good at socials, but the way that he's built a fan base that translate, like he sells out on tour, his merch sells really well, like he got a Billboard #1 album. We just hit for Neon Shark top 20 for Deluxe. That's crazy. And people just don't like to associate the fact that the way he uses social media plays into why his fan base feels so strongly about him. It's also a similar trope for like NBA YoungBoy, right? Like his fan base.
Nuts.
Whoa, like it's a massive fan base, and they feel very strongly connected to him as an artist. And that translates for him, it translates to like a lot of YouTube success. But just the way that we, I think, measure fan bases and like how good or like how followed artists are, I don't think it's as wide of an angle as it needs to be. So people like of the SoundCloud generation, of the NBA YoungBoy, like YouTube generation, tend to get overlooked.
That's a fact. Yeah, like these days, being a SoundCloud rapper, it's used like negatively. Like it's like they're just a SoundCloud rapper. They're part of that SoundCloud wave. But it's like some of the true gems you find on SoundCloud, and they develop that organic following. You can tell that they're really grinding, getting it out the mud, and then they end up on Billboard charts like Trippie did. So it's we really have to change that language, or we call someone, oh, he's just a SoundCloud rapper, like. Because some of these just sound, Lil Uzi Vert was just a SoundCloud rapper. Look at him now. Yachty,
they're topping the charts. The SoundCloud generation birthed the sound that is like Uzi, Cardi, Yachty. Like they really birthed that sound, and look how well that sound does. It's crazy. So I think giving them like their flowers is really important, and it does translate to commercial success. Like I said, he sells out tours, he sells out merch, he tops the Billboard charts. Like he went head to head with Ariana Grande on the Apple charts that day. It was back forth. Pegasus.
That's a huge statement. People don't realize
that's a huge statement. So I feel like I honestly had this realization. I made that tweet because I was talking to my parents. So they're both, of course, like big music heads. I grew up in a very like musical family. My dad is like plays all kinds of instruments, whatever. But I was explaining to them like Tripp's success because they were helping me make like my case study, which is how I just like quantify his success. And they were like shocked. They're like, how have we never heard of this artist? Like he has, because I was rattling off that statistic where he had more Billboard top 5 albums than anyone else in the past 2 years. This was in 2020 and 2018. He had more Billboard top 5 albums. He never released an album that was not in the top 5 on Billboard, which is more than Drake, more than Adele, more than anything. Because that's one, because he releases a lot. He releases a lot of albums, and they always do well. It doesn't seem to water down success for him when he does these continuous releases.
Feed them. Wow. Feed them. They hungry.
Yep. So that's like a crazy statistic that people just, you guys even are like shocked to hear it. Like people just don't necessarily think of him in that realm. Whereas he has the numbers to prove it, really. The numbers, the fans, whatever.
That's what you call knowing your audience and knowing and super serving your audience and knowing what the heck they actually want.
Exactly. Like he's a branding genius, really. His manager she said that exact sentence to me before I even joined the team. She's like, he's his own branding genius, and he is. Like he knows what he's doing. He's not just like a shit poster who got lucky. He's very, very smart. And so I believe that all of these like SoundCloud generation rappers, I think people kind of look at them as like, you blew up on SoundCloud, you got lucky, you had a hit, whatever. They're smart. They are marketing. Essentially, they're marketing. And they're people you should look to for like, okay, why was this successful? NBA YoungBoy, why is what he does successful? He's not just like a kid who's getting lucky. These people, there's a method to the madness behind all of them.
What's the flow so far as y'all, how you creatively bounce ideas back and forth for socials? So like, is it like, Olivia, go do your thing. All right. And then bring us some stuff every week and let's see what we're doing. Or is, I'm sure someone like Trippie, who's very involved, seems to be, at least is like, hey, Olivia, let's do this. Let's do that. What is the sort of the flow between y'all creatively?
When it comes to like business, like partnership stuff, that's all me, but he like his Instagram, that's all him. Like that's real. He posts what he wants to post on Instagram. You're gonna see what he wants to post. And I think again, it just goes back to why people love him so much, because he posts multiple times throughout the day. And even if you don't see that on his feed, like he'll go back and archive and stuff, but he doesn't let a day go by without posting, which is genius. And it's usually something I have to like shake down my clients to do. But because he is so tapped into his audience, he has a big hand in like the creative, especially like visual creative stuff. He's a creative. He's a very creative guy all around. So it's very helpful for me.
This is so dope. I'm finding my love and realizing how much I I'm like a huge consumer of digital stuff, and like I'm always on social, I'm always on something. And so I'm realizing my love for it more and more. You talking about it, you know, the thought
Yeah,
behind
it has
and,
that effect.
yeah, and
there's just so much more that goes into this stuff than people realize.
Exactly. And thinking about the world, how big the world is right now for an artist to be able to hit the Billboard charts over the head the way he has, but then at the same time, it shows you the scope of the world, in the digital world specifically, how he's able to do that, but still people haven't heard that or know that fact. It just shows you that really, if you focus on what is in front of you, your audience, your people, you can really make something happen. You can make a wave, and really, at the end of the day, support yourself and your family and do what you really have always wanted to do. So, yeah,
and support your own artists. He has artists that he signed. If you guys check out K-Swab's projects, Thought Slayer 2 came out. Trip has a few features on there. Triple H is like the breakout type of song from there that I've been listening to. But he's a businessman, right? He's turned this into, now he's signed artists and he's helping them produce their albums and things like that, because he's just good at this. He knows how to market an artist. He's done it successfully himself. So it's cool how much this can turn into for artists.
Love that. Jumping back into you in particular, so Billboard is clearly just one of the most renowned publications of all time. You grow up reading the magazines, you check the charts every week. So how did it feel to be recognized for the great work that you're doing by such a respectable publication?
Oh my God, it felt crazy. I was so excited. So when I always write down my goals, I'm big into like manifestation, and I think you got to write it. Just like helps goals, the to-do list, whatever. I keep everything written. And I sat down at the beginning of January and I wrote like my 3 goals for the year. And number 2 was being on Billboard. And before the first week of January was over, I got that email from a writer at Billboard. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. So I just had this moment. I was like, oh my God, like freaking out. I like ran, at the time I had a roommate, and I like ran. I was like, oh my God, to my roommate, like freaking out. And she's not in the music industry. So she was like, what's Billboard? You know, she was just like, whatever. It was such a humbling moment because she was like, cool, like good for you. Right. But it was cool because I didn't realize. So the writer, she did such a phenomenal job of like telling my story, Tatiana. And I'm always kind of like nervous to tell my story because I'm young, and I get really nervous that like being young, people will just automatically discredit me and be like, oh, you just got lucky to have your position with Trippie or anyone else. Whereas like really I've put so many years of work into it, but she did a really good job of like reflecting that. And I didn't realize, so I knew I was getting a column in physical Billboard, and she was sending one. I was like, can you please send one to my parents? So she sent one to my parents, and I got one too, which was cool, but I didn't realize it would also be a digital article. So I went on like Twitter, and like somebody, I think it was like Lottie or something, like tagged me under Billboard's tweet. And I was like, what is this? And then it was me. And there's like this whole article with my face on it. And I was like, oh my God, Tatiana, like texted Tatiana, like, thank you so much. This is crazy. And she's like, oh yeah, like you didn't know that it would be online too. I was like, no, I had no clue until I saw it that it would be like airing digitally, which was super exciting for me, especially because the digital article had so much more about like me than Amethyst, where like the column in the physical, the print version was more about like Amethyst and the panels. And the digital article was about like me and my journey with like my artists and things like that. So it was surreal, really. I'm still kind of riding that high. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, love that. Congrats to you. I'm sure there's only more to come because you're constantly bigging up the woman, and you just have such a great presence on social media with what you're doing.
Thank you.
And so with Amethyst Collab, which you said you started back in 2018, tell us, you know, the motivation behind starting that and what it's been like to kind of run that yourself over the course of the years.
Yeah, so 2018, I started it. I was in my little, like I mentioned earlier, I lived in an apartment with 5 girls in DC. I was in college. I was about to graduate. And I one night just like had the idea. And then I stayed up all night making the website. I had no clue how to make websites. That was how I just like manifested the idea. I was on Squarespace using their like user services chat, like bothering the customer service chat all night. Like, how do you do this? How do you do this? Literally 48 hours, didn't sleep, just made the website. And that's how I like fleshed out all my ideas, was just making this website. And it was like private, of course, it wasn't public or anything. And I sent it to my friend Audrey, she'll probably watch this. She's like my OG day one girl. She does all the like graphic and video stuff for me. And I was like, Audrey, like, what do you think about this? And she was like, yes, I love it. Let's do it. Like, let's dive into it. And the two of us made like this visual, like music video style project together to our friend's music video. And that's what Amethyst was at the moment. I didn't really know what it was. I just knew I wanted to do something for women in music. And as I gained more like traction in my own self in the industry and things like that, I kind of just turned it into like what it is today when I saw the opportunity during quarantine. So we really like took off in April of 2020. But that period between was just kind of me like figuring out where I wanted to take it. And to be honest, it definitely took a back burner to like my personal career. But in 2020, it was like, it's time. And I launched it, and I started by just like hitting up my personal contacts because I worked in management. So I hit up like some of the girls I knew who were managers, and then it spiraled. And Trippie's manager, Charlene, she was on the first ever panel. And it from there, just like total snowball effect. I used to like cold DM people on Instagram and be like, would you be in my panel? Like, I host panels. And now I communicate directly with like the head of publicity at major labels. Like, that's normally how I get my panels now. Yeah, very different process now than me like cold Instagram DMing. But I'm just really happy to see what it's turned into. It's been really fun.
What's been the reception? It seems as if people have really jumped on it. I'm sure the women, you know, obviously we want women's voices to be elevated because women are doing the work, you know what I'm saying, and too often not getting the outward credit for doing the work. So I'm sure a platform like this, women are probably jumping at the opportunity. I'm sure you almost can't field enough of the requests.
Yeah.
So how has been the reception?
And I never say no. I'm not like, especially something I've tried to be very intentional of is because a lot of my contacts are at like major labels, agencies, management companies, whatever. I've never wanted to like keep that exclusivity to my panels. I've always wanted to have at least one person who is like a business owner on every panel. If you go back and look, I think I've done that. It's just really important to me to make these panels like honest and realistic, because not everyone in the music industry is going to work at a major label. You can have a very fruitful career like not under a big company name,
and never touch a label.
And a lot of people have, and I wanted to show that because that was like my own journey in the industry. Like I've worked at like a small label. I've never worked at like a major label. I don't think that's somewhere I like see myself. It's not like my end goal is not to work at a label, whereas I feel like people have the misconception that everyone's end goal is to be at a major label, where it's not necessarily the truth anymore. And I wanted to showcase that. It's definitely hard now to like field requests, and I get a lot of like, it's been a very positive response, honestly. We haven't really gotten much like hate, knock on wood. I feel like eventually we will, because people hate anything. I see hate under like cooking videos on TikTok. So I'm like, you know what, I'll brace myself. You know, if you can hate like a shrimp casserole, you can hate anything. But right. But the biggest shock I think about Amethyst reception has been that like a large amount of our supporters have been men. Men love this shit. Like, I don't know what's up with you guys, or if I just have attracted like the good men to Amethyst. But like guys love it. I even have had guys come to me and like try to become clients because they're like, we're so inspired by what you do for women, which is so cool. Like I wasn't expecting that kind of reception. I always expected it to be a thing where guys would be like, well, why aren't you putting men on panels or whatever? Especially because a lot of like my personal mentors and bosses and stuff have been men, but they've been more than supporting. And so have like most of the people I've come into contact with. So it's been really cool.
I really love that point you made about giving people a true kind of look into the industry. Not everyone works at a major label, because I think a lot of people, whether you're an artist, journalist like myself, digital lead like you, like we're kind of looking up. We want to connect with those people with the verified check, 10K, working at this place, working at that place. But like we've said, there's so many people who do amazing stuff behind the scenes for smaller labels or independently that don't really get that look. And, you know, it just kind of shows like how down to earth you are. And you realize like,
thank you.
It's not just these big people who are doing dope stuff. It's the, I don't want to say little people, but like it's who would be looked at as the little people. And so I kind of wanted to ask you, like, you know, being that you work with such a big artist, you're doing dope things with them, and you got dope things going for yourself. Like, how is it? Has it been difficult kind of maintaining, you know, who you are, kind of remembering your path to where you've gotten, and maintaining the down to earth personality that you're authentically expressing here?
No, People stay humbling me all the time. My sister humbles me all the time. She called me the other day and I like accidentally hung up or something. My sister and I talk on the phone every day. And she calls me back and she's like, just because you're famous now doesn't mean you can hang up on me. She never lets me get out of my head. No, I don't know if it has yet. I think because I'm very much like the people that I tap for panels and stuff are very much my friends and like my peers. So I don't necessarily get that like cloud head, like, oh, I'm a big shot now, whatever. But I did have a big jump. Like, you know, I went from being at like more of an assistant level to now I'm at like the directorial level. And I have like people who I would have been working for are now under me. And it's very like, it's been a weird climb, right? Because I feel weird having an assistant. I feel weird with like someone calling me boss or whatever, because I'm young. And most of the people who work under me are like older than me. So that I think has been the most like reality check type of experience for me. It's like, I feel like I can't act any type of way. And I think my age plays a lot into that for sure.
Wow. This is just amazing. I'm just so it's exciting. Like I do feel like one of the guys that when I saw Amethyst, I'm like, that's dope that like women aren't getting that look, because I mean, if you come from any community that is, if you will, disparaged or not given credit or just overlooked, anything like that, I think, at least for myself, I know I can speak, I love to see people speaking up for themselves, people, you know, getting together and putting their resources together and making something happen. So seeing the way that the digital panel series went and how you've been doing it, it's inspiring, like I said, for me. And and also in the same way, it's like, it's not that, you know, a bunch of women together is, you know, how do I describe this? I'm not trying to patronize when I say it's inspiring to me, or that, you know, other people who are, you know, a disparaged group is getting together and they're putting together, you know, like y'all have earned your spot from just being off merit alone. And so, and I think more men need to realize that and put the pride aside and give it up to the women who have been doing the work for decades in life, you know, since the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really, really thankful that we've had you here today. And I really, really just wanted to shout you out on your work. It's important. Don't grow weary in well-doing at all. You have earned it. Just because you're young don't mean nothing. That means you put, you know what I'm saying? You know, you're really doing the work. And I think that is so evidenced by, you know, the data from all your clients, but also just the impact. And that's something we talked about last week with Swaggy C, is impact. And so you're someone who's very impactful in what you're doing, and don't, like I said, don't grow weary in well doing and doing that, because people need that. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you. That's so nice. I'm gonna take that with me.
There we go.
Thank you. That's dope.
Amazing conversation. So we're gonna get into our bulletin board and shout out some women-owned businesses. Olivia, the floor is yours. Let us know who we should be tapped into.
All right, you guys, of course, you already know, I'm going to shout out some like management companies. So Riveter Management by Charlene Bryant. Trippie Red is under Riveter Management. It is just Kid Lee's under Riveter Management. It's a dope company. Going to be like doing a formal launch in the future probably, but it's soft launch. She was also part of the like Billboard Power Players. Riveter Management was under that, so it's cool. Alexis Engineers, who is my assistant, who has an engineering business. She is just so dope, and she's one of the very few, I think maybe like less than 2% of women are engineers, audio engineers, which is crazy. She's really changing. Low. Yeah, it's low, and she's been co-signed by like some of the biggest engineers in the industry. Mixed by Ali from TDE co-signed her. She's just phenomenal, really just bringing like other women up in the recording and like back end type of space, which is really cool. Of course, my company, Amethyst Collab, go check it out. We do social and digital management for artists. Digital management, I explain, it's like a mix of social and PR, stuff like that. So go check it out. I have a website, Amethyst-Collab. You can find it like pretty much anywhere.
Awesome. Love that. Make sure y'all tap in. Like it's so much here. The women just got it all for us. So tap into those businesses. Thank you for sharing them. A couple of our submissions. We got Piece by PMR. This is owned by Patty Myasia. She likes to call it hand-painted black luxury because it's for us, by us. She hand paints and handcrafts accessories and apparel to help empower, celebrate, highlight Black, but make it fashion. The goal is to inspire, empower, and disrupt. She has Protect Black Women Are the Blueprint, Ghetto Until Gentrified handbag. She also has jackets, Dear Black Boy, It's Okay to Weep, to encourage men to be more expressive. And she wanted to take the two things she is most passionate about, which is Black culture and fashion, and make it into one world. Peace by PMR. Make sure y'all check that out. We also got Bella Beauty. This is owned by Samantha K. Michelle. Hope I pronounced that correctly. This is vegan handmade beauty line dedicated to providing natural products that promote healthy skincare and hair care. I'm about to tap in myself because I'm big on the skincare, exfoliating,
vegan skincare,
hydrating, especially the vegan skincare. You need them natural products. I'm about to cop some sea moss. I don't know if y'all familiar with sea moss, but
I'm Jamaican. You already know.
I use it every day. It's responsible for like everything. It's crazy. There's this one standoff Bed-Stuy. Oh man, I wish I could find it. But she makes flavored sea moss, so it doesn't suck to like eat, because you know sea moss is like horrible.
Right.
It tastes like drinking ocean water. But she makes it. So if you're ever just walking down, I can't remember the street in Bed-Stuy. It's across from like Brown Butter. If you're ever walking around there, listeners, go cop some sea moss because it's good.
Fire.
Very, very key. Yes. Well, once again, we want to thank our guest, Olivia Shalhoup, for joining us, providing the gems, saluting the women, and just being a genuine, fun presence to have. You're welcome back here anytime. Can't wait to see when the next feature on you is going to be in a publication, magazine, a billboard. But yeah, just thank you so much for joining us and for bringing everything that you brought to the pod.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. Like definitely the most fun interview I've done. It's cool to be on the other side of the interview. Little weird, but cool. Yeah, but it was dope. It's great getting to just really talk music. That was cool.
Yes.
100%.
We love you. We love you.
Yes,
we love you guys. I love Stay Busy. Keep it up, guys. This is really the dopest like podcast platform ever. It's like honestly just about the music, which is cool. Like it's so I did, get to talk about myself a little bit. It's so cool to just genuinely be able to like discuss music and like talk to people with different music opinions or similar music opinions. Like that's so, I hate to say it, but it's rare. It really is in the business world. So it's fun.
Yay.
Thank you so much for the recognition. We're gonna keep working hard to make you proud. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Stay Busy. It's the boy Armand Sadler here with my incredible co-host and our guest Olivia. Make sure y'all follow her. We're gonna be posting her on socials all week, but follow her at Gemini2Fly. Tune into Trippie Red's music, check out Amethyst Collab and Boss Talks. But of course, stay safe, stay humble, protect our queens, and stay busy.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy, taking time, getting right if you miss me. I've been out in the world, staying busy.
Mondays 9 a.m. Party with the gang. Every week, tell a friend. Busy over everything. Busy boys, gotta call now. Ain't you heard? Got the vibes. They put you on. Got the slides. I'm the size. When in doubt, no, we hold it down.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy, taking time, getting right if you miss me.